All right, let's get into it. This explainer is coming straight from the book An Introduction to Communication Disorders, and we're zeroing in on Chapter 5, Normal Phonological Development. We're going to use this chapter to unpack one of the most wild, most complex things a human ever does: learn how to talk.
I mean, how does that even happen? It really feels like some kind of magic, doesn't it? You start with this tiny human making these, basic survival noises, crying, burping, whatever, and then boom, a couple of years fly by, and they're telling you about their day, asking you a million questions. It's not magic, but man, it's one of the most incredible biological projects on the planet.
So to really wrap our heads around this whole process, let's think about it like a tech startup, a biological startup. You've got your hardware development, your software installation, a whole beta testing phase, and then the big product launch. It's the most ambitious launch ever, and it's happening in every crib all over the world.
Okay, phase 1, hardware. Before a baby can even dream of saying da-da, its body has to go through a complete and total redesign. I'm not kidding. At birth, they are just not built to talk. It's not even a possibility.
Just look at this. The difference between an infant's voice box and an adult's is insane. See how the baby's larynx is way up high in the neck? That's a life-saving feature. It actually lets them breathe and drink at the same time, which is pretty cool. But for talking, it's a disaster. That high position gives you zero room for sound to resonate. It's a system built for survival, not for speeches.
And the crowding doesn't stop there. Inside a newborn's mouth, it's standing room only. Their tongue is so big relative to their mouth that it takes up pretty much all the space. Plus, they have these things called sucking pads in their cheeks for feeding. There's just no room to maneuver. Trying to make speech sounds in there would be like trying to do gymnastics from a phone booth. So here's the takeaway. A baby's body comes with factory settings that are all about one thing: staying alive. The whole system is just geared for those primary functions: breathing, sucking, swallowing. Speech? That's a secondary function. It's a feature that only gets unlocked after a massive hardware overhaul. The larynx has to drop, the mouth has to grow, the whole system has to be reconfigured.
So while all that hardware is getting rewired, the brain is already busy with the software install. And this is where it gets kind of spooky and amazing. The brain's operating system for language, it starts loading before the baby is even born.
And yeah, that's not just a nice idea, it's a fact. The source material is clear on this. In the last few months of pregnancy, a fetus is already processing sounds. They're hearing the rhythm, the melody, the prosody of their mother's voice, of their native language. It's why a newborn, just hours old, will already prefer the sound of their mom's voice over anyone else's. The lessons have already started.
Now, a really critical piece of this software is called categorical perception. The best way to think about it is like a sorting system for sound. In the real world, the sound difference between ba and pa is a smooth gradient, but the brain doesn't care about gradients. It learns to draw a hard, bright line. Everything on this side is a ba, everything on that side is a pa. No in between. It forces order onto the chaos of sound.
And get this leads to an infant's auditory superpower. For the first half year of life or so, they are universal listeners. They can actually hear the tiny subtle differences between sounds in every language on the planet. It's incredible. But then, the brain gets ruthless. It starts to specialize. It literally prunes away the ability to hear distinctions that aren't in its native language. It goes from being a jack of all trades to a master of one.
Okay, so the hardware's upgrading, the software's installed. What's next for our startup? It's time for beta testing. And that is the babbling phase. We have got to be super clear about this. Babbling is not just cute random noise. It is serious, critical work. It's the dress rehearsal for speech.
You know, for a long time, people thought babbling had nothing to do with actual talking, this thing called the discontinuity hypothesis. Well, research just blew that theory to bits. As the source material says right here, babbling is the exact opposite of random. It's a highly systematic process that flows directly into the first words. It's all connected.
And you can literally watch this system boot up through 5 distinct stages. Stage 1 is pure reflex, crying, burping. Then you get the cooing and laughing. That's stage 2. Stage 3 is vocal play. They're just experimenting, right? Seeing what noises they can make. But the game changer is stage 4, canonical babbling. That's the classic ba-ba-ba, da-da-da-da. And then, my personal favorite, stage 5, jargon. This is where they start babbling with the exact rhythm and intonation of a real sentence. It sounds like they're telling you a whole story, but with zero actual words. It's amazing.
And look, if you still think it's just random noise, get a load of this. This data is straight from the source, and it's basically the top 5 chart for baby babbles. See? It's not just a chaotic mess of every sound they could possibly make. No way. It's this super limited set of sounds, huh, duh, wah, buh, guh, that they are just hammering over and over and over. They are literally practicing their scales, mastering the basics before they can play the song.
All right, the moment of truth. The hardware is in place, the software is stable, the beta test went great. It is time. Time to go live. Time for the product launch. The very first words.
So this big launch phase is called the first 50-word stage. But here's the crazy part. There's this huge gap between what a kid understands and what they can actually say. By the time they can produce about 50 words, they can already understand somewhere around 200. Think about that. Their receptive vocabulary is 4 times bigger than their expressive one. They know so much more than they're letting on.
And when you look at what those first words are actually like, it all makes sense. They're super simple, right? Mostly one syllable. And the sounds they use? It's the exact same playlist from the babbling phase. Those stop sounds, the sounds made with your lips and the tip of your tongue. The link between babbling and talking couldn't be clearer. It's not a fresh start, it's the next level of the same game.
So, who cares? Why does all this technical stuff matter? Because this whole startup, this entire insane biological journey, it's not just about learning to chat. It's laying the foundation for maybe the most important skill you'll ever have, being able to read. Check out this chart. It's tracking a common pattern, where a kid might say T instead of C. We might call that an error, but it's really just a developmental step. And what the chart shows is that over time, kids get better and better at suppressing that pattern. So learning to talk isn't just about adding new skills, it's also about getting rid of the old, simpler patterns to make room for the complex stuff.
All that work, telling sounds apart, babbling for months, suppressing old habits, it all builds up to something called phonological awareness. This is your brain's conscious ability to hear and play with the sounds in your language. It's how you know cat and hat rhyme. It's how you know sunshine has 2 parts. It's hearing the individual sounds inside words.
And here it is, the big payoff. That skill, phonological awareness, is the single biggest predictor of whether a kid will learn to read easily. It is the absolute bedrock of literacy. I mean, think about it. You can't connect letters on a page to sounds if you can't even consciously identify the sounds in the first place. That entire biological startup, from day one, it was all building toward this.
Which kind of leaves us with one last thing to think about. That baby brain starts out as a universal listener, totally open, capable of mastering any language on Earth before it has to specialize. It's an amazing transformation from a blank slate to an expert. So, if you could rewind to that moment, to that blank slate, knowing everything you know now about the world, what language would you pick for your brain's first installation?